again, I'm Anthony Vulin, president of Greater LA Association of Realtors, and our class today is getting 30 deals from a 300-person database. So welcome everyone, and let me get my screen shared. Okay. So 30 deals, like I said, really, is that possible? When I pitch this class to different associations, they're like, oh, it kind of seems like a lot. Is that exaggerating it? You know, most agents aren't doing 30 deals. How is that possible? Well, let's break it down. So we're starting with a database of 300, reasonable size. And in LA and most areas, the home ownership rate is about 50%. So I'm just going to assume that, you know, you have a normal database of people who are just people you've met out and about, right? So they're not all homeowners. A lot of people think when I'm building a database, I have to have people who are looking to buy a house or people who own a house. And that's definitely not the case. So we want 300 people in your database, 300 people who love you and like you and trust you. That is the most important thing. And we're going to assume that on average, just like it is in our city, about 50% of those people in your database are homeowners. Does anyone know the average time in a home? Feel free to type that in the chat. How many years on average right now are people living in a home?
Is it still 7?
Oh, I gave you the answer if you saw it. So 7 was the national average for quite a while. 5 to 7, 10 years, 7. So right now, it's actually about 10. So if that's the case, and it's 10 years, we have an opportunity of saying about 10% of our database may possibly sell of those homeowners. So if out of those 150 people that you have every 10 years, someone may sell, that's 15 people a year you have that may actually sell in your database of 300. So this was kind of the first aha when I really broke down the numbers to prove how you can get 30 deals from a 300-person database. So that's 15 people we have that are already have this opportunity that you may be being able to get business from. So Marshall, can you just manage the admins? Okay, so, you know, we're at 15 now. The goal of the class is 30. How are we going to get another 15 people at least from this database? So 15 is possible, right? Because that's just, we broke down numbers, pure stats. Half of these sellers statistically should be buying locally another property. So we have move-up buyers, 1031 exchanges, downsizing. Out of those people who are selling, 15 of them, about half of them, according to what the studies show, are going to buy locally. The other half are going to be spread out. They may buy in another county, another state, or they may not be buying at all. But half of them you have the opportunity to actually do 2 deals with. So that's another 7 deals. So now we're up to 22. Just from people in your database who are actually going to make transactions in the next year. 22 people or 22 opportunities for deals are going to happen within those 300 people. So beyond actual deals within your database, a much bigger chunk of opportunity is going to come from referrals. So, you know, different studies that have shown, and when I've worked, I mean, I've been in the business now for 20 years and I've coached agents for 20 years at different offices. And what I see is that the top agents are getting about 3 times the amount of deals from referrals from actual people that are in their database. So, you know, if they're getting 10 deals from people in their database, they're getting 3 times as many referrals throughout the year. So that's an opportunity of an additional 66 referrals that are coming in if you have this 300-person database and you're doing 22 deals from it. So that's huge, right? Not all these referrals are going to turn into something, but that's 66 opportunities that something may happen. Your best chance for a referral is from a current client. right? I mean, we all know that. If you're doing a great job and exceeding their expectations, when someone's looking to buy or sell a house, that's the only thing on their mind. When they talk to their friends, their family, that's all they're talking about for months. So they're going to be tuned in to other people who are also looking to buy or sell. So if just a third of your deals are able to give you a referral, so just a third of those 22 situations that you have are able to give you a referral, then we're already up to 30. Right, so that's not saying that we're going to get a referral from anyone else in our database. That's just using pure stats and numbers of the amount of people who are actually going to transact in your database and getting a referral from a third of those deals. And no one else in the database matters. But we all know that that's not true. So 30 is absolutely 100% possible from this database. So 30 deals is a great business. I mean, here in Los Angeles, we know that it's expensive to be me, right? Like Eric and Jane will say. And I'm glad this GIF is working because it wasn't working earlier. So, you know, it's expensive to live here, and you got to have that opportunity. 8 out of 10 realtors are doing 2 deals a year or less. So 2 deals a year or less. This is pure stats. Half of the top 20% of realtors, so say, you know, the 10 to 20% range, are doing 10 deals or less. You know, that's like a decent business, but you could probably get a job anywhere doing anything to make that same money when you figure out your taxes and your expenses and anything like that. And you're working, you know, weekends and have, you know, a rough time doing that. So in order for it to be worth it in this business, you have to be in the top 10% to truly have a business that's worth it. Otherwise, you're going to be spending so much time and money and so much stress with your income going up and down that is going to drive you crazy. And I've seen it happen to so many agents year after year where their income is inconsistent, their lead generation is inconsistent, and their mood and their attitude and their self-worth and their confidence becomes inconsistent. Their life becomes a roller coaster, and it's not something that I want for any of you, but it's something that you have control of. And I teach this class every year because it's really, really the key. And it's a simple system that's going to help you get into that top 5% and ensure that you have a great business. You just got to go through these steps. So average net commission for, I'd say for the greater LA area from different offices I've been at, it's about 12,000. So when you look at your net after you pay your office split and whatever expenses you have and different things like that, your average net commission is about 12,000. A lot of times people will, when they're doing their business planning, they're looking at what their average commission is, and they're like, oh, I'm going to use 20,000, or if I sell $1 million house at 3%, it's 30,000. I'm like, no, when you break down everything and the average price point that most people are working with, it's not that, it's less. So a lot of times people overestimate what their average net commission is. So you need to figure out what that is for you. And if you don't know, ask your broker in their office, because they definitely know what that is for your office. And I'm going to be doing a couple more classes later this year. One of them is business planning, I think end of November. So stay tuned for that through GLAR. And I'm also doing a seller class on the best way to get listings in this market. So, oh, I'm so sorry. So those classes are going to be coming up, and we'll really break down the numbers even more. But hey, we're trying to get 30 deals here, and if that's something you're able to do or more, that's a great life, right? You're going to have an amazing net income that you'll be able to do a lot of great things with, and you'll be able to live in the city, pay your taxes, and do what you need to do to succeed. But if you're doing less than that in real estate, it's not worth it. It's worth giving up and getting another job. Honestly, if you can't commit to doing this simple system, I would seriously urge you to think about doing something else, because you're going to drive yourself and family and friends around you crazy, because as we know, the market's cyclical and we're in a market that's changing right now. And as things change, we got to stay on top of it. And the one thing that can stay consistent is your database and the types of referrals you get through your database.
I have a question.
Question, yeah, go ahead, Jack.
In your experience, how when you get your new agents and they come in and they start off, how often, what's the average time you see the 8 out of 10 finally get into that 20%, you know, in their career, would you say?
Yeah, good question. So Johnny was asking, you know, for a new agent who maybe their first year they're doing that, they're in the 80% and they're doing 1 or 2 deals, how long does it take to get into that next level? It should take, I mean, it should take a year to do that. If you're focused on your database and building it, that second year, you should absolutely be out of that and have had a solid database. 1 year to build a database is good. And we'll talk a little bit more about relationships do take time. So just because you meet someone at a mixer and you get along well tomorrow, doesn't mean that they're gonna trust you in selling their house when they're ready. They might give you that opportunity the next day. That's kind of the cool part about it, but it might take several more years. So it does take time, but after that first year of really going through the system, you should start to see results. So getting to 300. So if you can, type in the chat, how many contacts do you have in your database at this moment? So I'm curious to see what these numbers are. So go ahead and use that chat.
There's a question on the chat.
Okay, I'll take a look. Let's see.
Before they start the tasks.
Do we address how to build the database? Yes, we'll talk about that next.
Yes, okay.
Perfect. So Robert, 1200, awesome. 275, 187. Anyone else? No, nobody, 2 people, okay. Don't be shy. I mean, this is just like, hey, this is just reality where we're at. Now's the opportunity to change all of that. 876, 800, okay. Very cool. So a lot of you have more than 300 and then a lot of you have less. So, okay, Carrington's building it up. Cameron Hale, 250, great. So if you have less than 300, does it seem like a lot to you to do? Is that something that's overwhelming? I mean, I remember when I started, it seemed real easy. I was like, oh, 300, that's so easy. I can go out there, I'll set up a booth at Gay Pride and have a raffle and I'll get 1,000 people that first day and blah, blah, blah. And I got my plan. I know how to do it. That's gonna be so easy to meet more than 300 people. I can build that up. Well, I did, and I built it to about 1,500 that first year. But what I've learned is like was too many people too quick. I was not doing 30 deals that first deal. I wasn't even doing half of that first year. And I had 1,500 people in my database. So it was an opportunity for me to reevaluate that. And looking back, I know that the relationships I had were not as strong as they really should have been. So let's talk about putting people into your database and you know, putting in the right people. So if you want to type in the chat as well, how did you get the people that you currently have in your database? You know, some ideas, where are they from? How did you meet them? So where did you get, so all those people you have in your database, what are some ways that you've met them? How did you get them in there? Referrals, stylists, family, friends, cards at events. I mean, that was a big one for me. Open houses, church, networking groups, sphere, referrals. Yeah, I mean, door knocking, kids' school, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Previous buyers. I mean, all these are great things. So look through some of these lists. If you're like, how do I add people to my database? Look through that list of what some of these people have said and see if anything piques your interest, and maybe that'll give you an idea of something that you can do to add a few more people to your database. So if you don't have 300 people now, where might you find people to add that you already know? So not even thinking about people that, you know, you have to bring in, but people that you just, you know, you already know. So I always recommend, first thing to do is look through your social media, right? Who do you have on your Facebook, on your Instagram that you already know? A lot of times, I would say Facebook first. Those are usually the relationships that we have that have been around the longest, who we're the closest to. Instagram is kind of a mix, usually, of people who we know and people who we just know through Instagram, and then other random followers. So, do Facebook first, then Instagram, then any other social media. But yeah, check out your past jobs, like Danielle says, and any volunteer work that you do. Check your phone, scroll through. Do you have everyone that's in your phone book actually into your database? Any other clubs or groups that you're part of? Go through. I'm sure everyone today, including me, could really go through all of these different things and say, oh, actually, here's 10 more people that I could add to my database today that I didn't realize just wasn't in there. Somehow they got missed. And it happens to all of us. Like, you're always going to be working on refining your database. So it's not just numbers, right? It's not just numbers. We're not just trying to get 300 people into our database. It's not just about collecting cards at an event, like someone mentioned. Like, that was my thing. It's like, I'm gonna go to all these mixers and just collect cards. And that's great way to start, but you need to follow up with all of them. You need to see them in person. You have to build a relationship with them. You can't just collect cards and send out newsletters. The average realtor that I've coached, their way of marketing and staying in touch with their database is that collecting cards at different events, putting everyone they know in their database, and sending out emails. Oh, here's my new listing. Here's a price reduction of this thing. And they're sending out emails, and that's pretty much it. Stats will show that, according to the system that I'm going to teach, that's where about maybe 10% of your referrals or deals may come from, but you're missing out on an opportunity of 90% more deals because you don't have strong enough relationships with people. So, to get these results, it's all about the relationships. Would the people in your database invite you to a birthday party? Like, here we have Cynthia Bailey at her 50th birthday party, and she invited her group of friends. And it's a small group, even for her, maybe there was 50 people that were there. So think about each person in your database. Would they invite you to their birthday party? That's the goal. And if not, then that's someone that you need to work on a relationship with and start trying to build that. It's a really great test. So I would say, as you're going through your database, if they would invite you to your birthday party, you can label them as an A contact. If they wouldn't and you're close, then it's going to be the next level down, a B. So we'll discuss, how to build these relationships and how to make that happen. So why do buyers and sellers choose you? Why are they going to actually decide to do that business with you at that moment? Well, this is an NAR study. Over 85% of buyers and sellers will work with you because they like you. It's because of the relationship they have with you. So it could be a referral from a friend or a personal relationship. It could be a client that you worked with in the past, but it's somebody that somehow has a connection to you and likes you. So that's the biggest one. 85% of your job when you're reaching out to your database is to make sure they like you. That is step one, because that is overwhelmingly the biggest opportunity we have to get referrals from our databases. We have to get them to like us first. So you have to create that bond. Second, and it's only 15%, but it has to do with trust. So they need to trust you. Because of your expertise in a neighborhood or market knowledge or whatever it is, for some reason they're trusting you. Maybe you have the most listings in that neighborhood, so they're going to just use you as the listing agent. Great, it happens, right? We see that happen a lot. But it's only 15% of the reason why someone is choosing you is because you're an expert in that area. It's more important that they like you. So as you're going through your database and the marketing that you send out, really think about that. Like, am I getting that relationship built to where they like me, or am I just sending stats and numbers and everything that's trying to get them to trust me? And if you're doing just the trust part in your marketing, you're missing a huge amount of referrals. So Robert asked, It's so good to see you. How are you? Oh, yes, good to see you too, sir. Was that for me or maybe that was for somebody else? Please feel free to use the chat, ask questions, raise your hand. Like, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So, what are you guys using for a database? You know, what's working for you? Why don't you type in the chat if you have a database and what system that is? That would be a great thing to share with all of us so we can see what the different things that people are using in today's market. Lion Desk, okay, I've heard of that. Top Producer, oh, I used that one for a long time. Close. Yeah, Command KW has their own system. Follow Up Boss, okay, I have not heard of that one, that's cool. Oh, 3, yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to look that up. Follow Up Boss. Cool.
Follow up.
So, you know, there's lots of different systems out there. Constant Contact, Command. Yeah, the best thing is you got to find the system that works for you and that you're going to actually use. So before I had my own brokerage, I was a team leader for KW, and they had a couple different systems while I was there, and I was able to look in to the back end and see who's using the system, how many contacts do they have in their system, when was the last time they opened their system up, and when was the last time they took action on using their database. And I found that it was about maybe 15% of people were consistently using the database and sending stuff out and getting in there. 85% of the agents weren't doing anything with it. Maybe because it was, I don't know, not as intuitive or user-friendly or what. So when I started my brokerage, I said, okay, I'm going to do something that's really, really simple to start, and then people can get their own advanced system beyond if they want. So if you've tried Top Producer, you've tried different systems and they're a little bit difficult for you, it doesn't have to be a really robust system to have a good business. If your main business is not internet leads and you're not doing, 50 deals a year, you could probably get away. I mean, not probably, you can get away with a really simple system like Constant Contact. It's very, very user friendly. I give it to all the agents in my office, and when I log in now and look at who's using it and what they're doing, it's about 80% of the agents are really using it and have contacts in there and are getting newsletters out and so on, because it's so simple. So you got to use something that's right for you. The database that you choose, it has to have the ability to capture, obviously, name, phone number, address, email, and then definitely you're going to want to break your database into different groups. So you're going to want to break it into different tags or lists so that you're able to pull up people that are just living in West Hollywood or are just part of the West Hollywood Chamber, or people that are just my family. You want to have options to pull. So for me, I use Constant Contact because the other systems are a little too complicated for me, and I don't send a whole lot of auto-generated emails. It's more of, I have a different system, which you'll see. So for me, Constant Contact will work. But lastly, the note section is going to be really, really key. The note section, you want to keep adding data to all the time. You want to fill that up with as much as you can. So let's start talking about relationships, right? I mean, I saw this meme and I was like, this happens so many times where as realtors, a lot of times we're so focused on getting that next commission, and maybe our rent check or our mortgage check is dependent on it, and desperation comes out, and we're just like, do you want to buy a house? Do you want to buy a house? And we have this reputation of like becoming used car salesmen at times, and that's obviously not the right approach, right? People can see through that desperation. The energy that you give out creates a wall for anyone around you, and it can't be like that. So, as we're building relationships, it's not so much talking about real estate. It's more just building the relationships, and real estate will come second if it's meant to be. So a simple system that, I don't know, I would assume all of you have heard of before and hopefully will use, is Ford. And it's an easy way to approach people when you're at mixers and how to talk to them, and when you're making phone calls, what to focus on in order to get the best results. So when you use the system and we start talking to people, and we want anything we discover, we want to add to the notes in your database, because as your database builds and over time, there's certain things you're going to forget or certain things that are going to be key for you to pull at certain points in your relationship. So as a reminder, Ford, the first letter is family. These are the things that people like talking about. And if they like talking about it, they're going to like you more because you ask them. So it's an easy way to get someone to like you is by asking questions about family, occupation, recreation, what they do, or their dreams, or sometimes realtors will say dream homes. So it's a simple system. It's an easy thing to remember if you're out and you're like, what do I say? What do I say? Think of one of these, FORD, and ask them a question about that. Instantly, your rapport is going to start to grow, and it's going to be a great start to your conversation. So all of your conversations should be 90% about, these items with Ford and 10% about business and real estate. So you never want to start with business and real estate. It has to be about the relationship first. A majority of your phone conversations, text, seeing them in person needs to be about non-real estate and business related topics. So start there. Separating your database into 3 sections. So I highly recommend doing this because it's going to give you that opportunity to market to them differently. And I found naturally most databases that I see kind of have 3 sections to them. So the first one is general. They're people that are family, friends, random people that you meet out, people that you might meet at a random mixer somewhere. Just a general group of people that you want to stay in touch with, who you like, and you're going to want to reach out to and build relationships with. Next one is demographic. So these are people who are part of a certain group, and they have the opportunity to be seen by you frequently. So for an example, Chamber of Commerce, right? Could be a great group. I would call it a demographic group, where West Hollywood Chamber, and these are people that I can go to a mixer to a couple times a year. Sorry, I thought someone was coming to my office through the back. Demographic, right? People who you're going to be able to see frequently. Maybe it's somebody that's part of your church group. Maybe it's somebody that, there's certain restaurants or bars that you go to a lot of times. But anyway, it's something that is a certain group, a charity, right? A dog park. All of these things I would say are going to be different demographic groups that are part of your database. And you don't want to have, 10 or 20 of them, limited to a few, maybe, 3 or 4 different groups, but I would say not more than 3 or 4 to start. And you want to be able to build those groups. So if you're going to get involved in a charity and you're only going to be meeting with 2 or 3 people in that charity consistently, those people I would add to your general list. But if it's a charity group where you're putting on events and you're constantly meeting new people, and there's like 30, 40 people that you're constantly seeing, and it just grows and grows from there, then that would be a demographic group. So the benefit of having that demographic group list is that you're going to be able to market to them differently. So if it's somebody that's part of that charity group, whenever you send newsletters out, you can send something real estate related, but you're also going to want to send something related to that group that they're involved in. Like the next event coming up is blah, 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 or photos of the last event that you worked at with some of the people who are in that group. So it gives you the opportunity to give really high level marketing. That's a little bit different than, just the general list. And then last one is geographic. You can have, I would say, 1 or 2 geographic areas that you include as part of your database. So this is going to be very different than a farm. A farm is typically a separate group that you're working on relationships with. Most of the people in your farm, you're probably never going to have a strong relationship where they won't be part of this database, but there will be some. So if you do have a farm and, for example, I live in a 200 unit condo building, and that's definitely people that I see and build relationships with all the time at different events we have there, at the pool, at whatever. So I'm getting to meet people and build relationships at a high level. So they would be part of a geographic farm. I might want to call that geographic farm just my building, or maybe part of West Hollywood. So anyone who I know who lives in West Hollywood where I live will be part of that geographic farm. But geographic farms are really important. I just want to make it really clear the difference between adding people that you met once or have an address for or a phone number for in that farm shouldn't be part of your database until you start having a relationship. So until you're able to like go to coffee or see them one-on-one a couple times and build that relationship, then add them to this 300-person database. Otherwise, they're a separate contact. They're part of your farm. That's a whole nother class. Yeah, not something that we're going to be diving into today. Geographic, farming is great, but it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of time before you get results. So it's something you should wean yourself into and commit to for a long time. But this geographic farm is people that you have relationships with. This database is all about relationships. So just want to make sure we're clear on that. Okay, so how do we stay in touch with these 300 people? What are the systems? How does this work? This is kind of the meat of the class. So again, I'm going to send everyone who registered for this class, like my cheat sheet. It's like a full page that gives notes from the entire class that'll break down the system and give you a lot of the points that we've talked about here. So you'll have access to all of that. So don't worry if you miss something, but if you're going to write anything down, this is the system that's really going to make it all happen. This would be it. So number one is, in order to really stay in touch at a high level, these are the steps we're going to take. The first one is going to happen 12 times a year. It's a mailed newsletter, something in the mail. It could be a postcard, a newsletter, whatever. I don't care, just something that actually gets in the mailbox of someone in your database. Not a lot of realtors will mail stuff to their database. They do it to their farm, to people they don't know. Why wouldn't they do it to people they know? If you're not getting 30 deals from a 300-person database, you're missing out on opportunities somehow. So if you have a 1,500-person database out there and you're not mailing to those people, I would highly consider doing that as a step to strengthen that relationship. For a couple of years, there was a time when I didn't have time to focus on mailers to my database. I would call them. I always would stay in touch with them, but I wasn't mailing them anything. I didn't update my addresses as well as I should for a couple of years. And it was kind of just things were falling through the crack. And once I updated that and I started mailing to my database, the amount of results I got was very different. People would respond to me differently when they started getting things in the mail. I would get more response through emails or calls, or different things would start to happen once I started mailing things. So there are some people that will respond highly to items that are in the mail. And it's another way to touch them and to stay top of mind. So get their addresses, send everyone in your database something once a month. Could be a postcard, a piece of paper you fold up and write something on, a newsletter, whatever, your business card, just send them something once a month. So the gold section that I'm going to have for these steps to the right is going to be the system. You can't have, you can't say you're going to do something and not have a system for it. You have to create, how are you going to actually accomplish this, right? So for me, it's simple. Mailing is the last week of each month. If you're going to mail everyone in your database, mail them something the last week of the month. That's when they're going to get some kind of touch from you. Snail mail, yes. So send something physical in the mail. Yes, you got spend that. What is it? 55 cents on a stamp mail. Buy, if you want a good investment, spend your money on stamps, because they'll definitely go up in the future, and they're forever stamps, so save them. But yeah, they're 55 cents. Snail mail, yes, 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 yes. Okay, number 2, 12 times a year, some type of email that you're sending to them. Can be a newsletter. Like I said, if you have those different demographic farms, it would be really smart for you to create a newsletter that's different to each of your demographic farms, to your general list, to your geographic list. Make it really appeal to them to be something of value. And through your emails, average email open rate's like 25%. If you do it to your demographic farm and your geographic farm special newsletters, those numbers should get up to like 50%. They would get higher and higher and higher. So if you're doing just one newsletter to start, that's fine, start with something, but 25% or more is a good open rate. Now, 25% are opening them, but your subject line is also going to be important, and your email. So how does your email address look? Is it like john22258@AOL? That's not as powerful as like john@thecollectiverealty.com, because if they see john@thecollectiverealty.com, it's a reminder of, oh, John the realtor, I know who that is, rather than just a random email. I don't know what this is, I'm not going to look at it, I'm deleting it. Just the fact that your email address is flashing in front of them for a moment is powerful, and that's at least a touch. So system for that, you know, if we're going to mail something in the mail once a month and we're sending at the end of the month, let's do something a couple weeks later. So around the 15th of the month, send them an email and just have that in your calendar that by the 15th, I'm going to send one email out every single month. Simple. Okay, conversation. This is the most important part of the system. The first two are building kind of that foundation, and 10% of the leads are going to come from your mail, 10% are going to come from your emails, but 80% are really going to come from the conversations of your referrals and any leads that you get. And you don't need to do more than 4 a year. So talking to people 4 times a year, and conversations can happen in all different, you know, modes, right? It can be on the phone, in person, it could be a text conversation. It can be through, you know, instant messenger in Instagram or direct message, or, you know, any of those systems. As long as it's a conversation that's happening, that's going back and forth, it doesn't matter. It still is going to count. So keep that in mind. When I first got in the business, they were like, no, phone calls only. Now it's so difficult to get people on the phone. There's so much going on. If you have people that are in your database that you have regular text conversations with, it counts. Eventually, yeah, you want these conversations to go to be on the phone or to be in person, but text and inbox messages, as long as it's something that's going back and forth, will count. So goal, what's the system? How are you going to make this happen? Well, you could put all your people into top producer, or was it something boss? My mighty boss. The best boss ever. You could put people into those systems and have it scheduled where, hey, 4 times a year, you're going to get a reminder that pops up and it tells you, call Anthony, call Marshall. You can do that. That's what those programs are for. Or I have it on my calendar where I just write 2 letters of the alphabet every week that I'm supposed to call. So anyone whose last name starts with A and B, the first week of the year, that's who I call. The next week of the year, anyone whose last name starts with C and D. And if you go through it that way, 2 letters of the alphabet a week, you're going to reach everyone exactly 4 times a year. And it's pretty easy because, you know, if you have a week where you're going on vacation or you're sick or things happen, you can, you know, double up the next week, and it's easy to stay on top of it. And in case you forget and you're like, oh my God, I haven't done anything for a month. Well, you can figure out where you're at in the year. Just start with January and think about it. The first 4 weeks, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, where am I now? It's February. Okay, I can figure out what letter I should be at right now. And then, you know, too, at least every quarter, you know, when the end of the quarter is coming up, did I talk to everyone that one time that quarter? If you didn't, and you're like, oh, I started with A's and B's and I stopped. Well, at the end of that month, go back and call everyone you can in your database at the end of March, you know, at the end of June, at the end of every quarter. It's a great time to catch up. So system, 2 letters of the alphabet a week, simple. That warning sign, I don't know. Computer update issues. Okay, so as soon as you hang up the phone or text, one of the top things too that I get response from, it really is mail. Besides the conversations, it's mail, because when I write a handwritten note, I'd say 20% of the time, I'll get a response. Like somebody will email me back, or they'll call me, or I'll see them at an event and say, thank you for that handwritten note. That was so kind of you. It was so thoughtful for you to do. Send a quick note. Hey, it was great talking to you. Hope you have a great summer. Throw your business card in there and be done with it. Super, super simple, but important to do. Again, spend that 55 cents on your database. And then lastly, just some type of personal card that goes out through the year. No business card in it, just signature. It could be for their birthday. If you have a database that tracks their birthdays and you want to do it that way, that would be my #1 suggestion. I haven't quite got it together at that level where I have sent out birthday cards, but I do send out New Year's cards, and I say, you know, I hope this year's, you know, your best year yet. Happy New Year. It comes right after all the holidays in December when they're kind of inundated with cards, or your Thanksgiving card and say, you know, I'm grateful for relationships. That's another, you know, time that you could just send everybody 1 card a year. So either way, those are great opportunities to send something and make it personal. My cards, I usually put, you know, those cards that they have like 4 pictures of something and it says Happy New Year or whatever, and they see, oh, all the, like, you know, cute things you did through the year with your family or friends or charity or office or whatever. Those things, you know, people remember, and it's just, it's a quick little touch. So those are the main things. So as far as time goes, if you have 300 people in your database, this should take you about 60 to 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So it should take you less than 2 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week. Or it's going to take you 1 full day, right? Like maybe just Saturday, you spend the full day going through A's and B's and writing your notes and staying up to date with all this stuff. But it should take you, you know, an hour to 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week. This is the core of your business. The only thing that I would say don't ever not do is this. This is the most important thing. So you got to schedule a time to do it. Most likely it's going to happen that if you can do it in the morning, it's more likely that it'll happen. My rule is it's in the morning. I don't come into the office until I make some calls or send some texts to people in my database. Because I know once I come into the office, I'm going to want to catch up with, you know, all of my friends here. Life happens, you open your email, things, you know, lead you down the rabbit hole to who knows what. So no emails, stay away from people, just concentrate on the conversations in the morning before I even leave my house. So if you have a house that you can do that in, great. If not, go to your office, go to a calling booth, go somewhere where you can do it. Just go somewhere where it's gonna be quiet and you won't be distracted.
That's a good one.
Oh, Dean, let's see. Also send birthday wishes to social media contacts through Facebook. Yeah, that's okay. So if my recommendation for Facebook, if you see someone whose birthday it is on Facebook, don't send the message on Facebook so it gets caught up with their other 500 messages. If you do, at least send a personal picture with it, because they'll tend to see that more than the other ones. Honestly, they really get lost. Like, it's hard for me to see or remember all the people who may have sent happy birthday through Facebook. But when you see that, it reminds you, you see it there, send them a text, send a quick phone call, something different, and make sure you wish them a happy birthday. But that is an awesome reminder. I mean, I use the birthday reminders on Facebook to say, hey, have I been in touch with this person or not? And maybe I'll hide them so I don't see their stuff, because I'm like, I'm not really in touch with them anymore. They moved away. Or, oh, I need to build this relationship stronger. I need to do something a little different with this person because I haven't seen or talked to them in 6 months. All right, getting through the last stretch. So conversations are where the most leads will come from. I promise you that 100%, 80% of the leads are coming from those conversations. And it's the #1 thing that agents are not doing. They're not talking to people. They're not having the conversations as much as they should. Little quick side chat, right? Social media is great. If you notice, it's not much of a part of this class at all. It's kind of a bonus side gig that you do to stay top of mind to people who are in your database. So yeah, it's great. You know, you have those quick reels or TikToks. oh, hey, that's Anthony. By the way, I just talked to my lender today and we found out that the Feds raised the rate. Well, what is that going to mean for mortgages? Blah, 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 blah. Like and follow me for more. Those are great, right? But you're going to get likes, you're going to get shares, you're going to get attention from that. And it's definitely great things to do to stay top of mind, but that can't be your strategy or only thing. That's a bonus. So the things that we've talked about, the system back here, is the number one thing you need to focus on first. Second is doing any type of promotions, anything else you want to do on social media, because it works. It's the reminder. You have to be that one person that's top of mind the moment that someone is looking to buy or sell, because everyone knows several realtors. And if you're not top of mind at that moment, you're out of luck. So social media is important. If you're doing it, continue to do it. It's super important, but do this stuff first. So the goal from your conversations as you're talking is to try to get one lead a week. And it's not going to necessarily mean a deal a week, but some type of lead. So as you're talking to all of your people, it's really just about, you know, focusing, like, if you have, focusing on that one lead a week. That's really the goal. And, you know, we talked about a little bit about what do you say, because that's kind of the big reason why people don't call or don't make those conversations. Well, my advice on that is it can't be, you can't treat everyone equally. You can't have one script for the week. Maybe you could get away with 3 or 4 scripts for the week, but one script, no, it's not going to work. You really should have different things to say depending on who that person is. So every contact is not going to be treated equally. Each one is going to have a different conversation depending on where you're at in the relationship. And your note section is going to be one of those areas that you will look at to say, hey, what can I say about them? What's going to remind me about something that's important to them? And again, you know, forward. If you have really idea, know what to say, start with forward. But building relationships is number one. So keep that in mind. Forward is going to be the biggest thing that you want to do during that conversation. A lot of times people have been trained through certain people that, oh, if I'm picking up the phone to call someone, I have to say, oh, do you know anyone who's looking to buy or sell real estate? I'm trying to build my business. There's a right time for that, right? But that's not how you start a conversation. People do want to help you. If you are trying to build your business and you say, hey, you know, and by the way, the market is a little tough for me right now. There's a very competitive market with realtors. I have extra time and I could use your help. If you do know anyone, keep me in mind. Anyone who's looking to learn about real estate, I'm just here to help. So asking for help is a good thing, right? And there's a time for that, but that's not how you start a conversation. The calls are so much easier when you have that reason to call, right? So you got to have that reason before you start your calls that morning. Have a list, right, of 3 or 4 things that you could potentially say to different people in your database. So type in the chat, if you guys don't mind again. I'm curious, like, what are some reasons why you would call someone? What are some topics you might bring up? What are some things say this week, right? Like, if you're going to call people this week, what would you say? Like, what are, you know, 2 or 3 reasons why we might want to start a conversation with someone this week? You know, we had Marty on the call earlier. He gave us a few reasons. I can tell you everyone's always interested in what's happening with mortgage rates. Patty says the sale down the street. Absolutely. If you know that there's any type of sale in someone's neighborhood, everybody wants to know that. Oh, this property's open this weekend. The weather's cooler, kids are back in school. Hey, yeah, that's right, Lynn. It's about building relationships. So how are your kids? Are they in middle school already? I can't believe it. Oh my goodness, they're growing up so fast, those cute little kids. Oh, I just saw a picture of them on Facebook and that, blah, 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 right? So reasons to call, yeah, individually, like if you're on social media, pull up their social media before you call them. If you have no other reason to call them, pull up their social media and look at something and comment on them. Say, hey, I just saw your post on your trip to Italy. That was so cute. That was amazing that you were able to go take your dog to Italy, whatever. So those are all different things that you can do. I use the social media one a lot because it's something that it's important to them. They posted it out there for the world to see. So for you to comment on that in person, on a text, on a phone call, it's even better than commenting on it in Facebook or Instagram. It means even more. So don't overlook that. Some other ideas, right, are, you know, I love teaching classes, so I'm always inviting people to stuff. Hosting events. You know, you should have an event a quarter that you're doing or you're trying to promote. Because as you're calling people that quarter, right, we're talking to everyone every quarter. And if you have one event to promote per quarter, that's something to talk about. Oh, by the way, we're doing a fall carnival coming up October 23rd, right here in West Hollywood. Do you like funnel cake? We're gonna have lots of funnel cake. I'd be happy to buy you some funnel cake and corn dogs. And bring your kids because we have carnival games and Facebook painting, or, you know, stop in for a 10-minute seminar on how to fix up your credit. That event in itself is going to be something that I've created to give agents an opportunity to reach out to their database for in many, many different levels. So maybe somebody in their database, it's going to be, it's going to turn them on to learn and to go to a seminar. For other people, it's about the food. For other people, it's about their kids. For other people, it's just they're curious to learn more and want to meet some other vendors, or they just want to come and have fun and play some games. So there's a lot of opportunities to do that. So as you're creating events, you know, it can be a very specific event, or it could be a more broad event where you have different reasons to pitch it to people in your database. So hosting events or promoting some type of event that your office is doing, that you are doing, that a charity you're a part of is doing, is going to be amazing. You know, your weekly office meetings, I would assume everyone has those, and those are great sources for data and for things that are happening in the market. You know, if you're hearing a lender speak every week, they're going to give you some tidbits of things that are going on. So those are always things to do. And of course, bringing up their social media. Okay, so let's see, Dean. I was starting with, how are you doing post-COVID? Yeah, of course, we're still kind of in the midst of it, right? I got my booster yesterday, my bivalent booster. No reaction, so go out and get them if you want. People love to talk about their experience, and I bring up something really positive to pull them out of it. So the conversation can lead into real estate. Everyone loves to talk about real estate. This is so true, Dean, right? Like, you bring up anything and then it always leads back to real estate. If they know you and start trusting you, they're going to bring up real estate. Well, how is the market right now? You have to have a response for how is the market right now? And that answer is going to come out of every one of your sales meetings at your offices. Was there another question I missed?
Yeah, Patty said, how do you handle when a contact tells you they give you your number to someone who wants to buy or sell? It seems calls.
Okay, how do you handle when a contact tells you they gave your number to someone who wants to buy or sell? Oh, and they never call. Oh yes, Patty, doesn't that happen all the time? Oh yeah, my friend's looking to buy, I gave them your number. Well, that's great. Let's say, of course, it's the same thing when you're out networking. Just having numbers float around doesn't really do anything unless you're in control and you have it. So if they don't call within a couple of days, I would call back that person and say, hey, you know, I'd really love to reach out to your friend. I haven't heard from them. Is it okay if I just send them a quick text or email just to introduce myself? Maybe they lost my number. And a lot of times they'll say yes. And if they don't, then you have to respect that relationship. But yeah, you need to follow up and ask for sure. Yeah, Zach said there's a lot of events that are happening in our town. Tell contacts about that. There's always stuff going on, right? So my point is, have a couple different things prepared that you can look at. So when you say, oh, Marshall, what am I going to talk to Marshall about? You have 3 different things. One of them is going to work for him. If not, then you just go to his social media as a backup and say, oh, Marshall, I saw your social media. How's everything going? Disneyland. Yeah, Marshall's always at Disneyland, so that'll be a fun conversation. I'm jealous you went to the Oogie Boogie night.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's see, we're almost done. Ooh, okay, influencers. Who are your influencers in your database, right? So we already know we're going to be able to get 30 deals from our database just by pure statistics. But you have people in your database who are influencers. people who have the opportunity to give you referrals. So influencers, maybe not these influencers, but they're going to be contacts who are going to be able to refer you people. So who are great referral sources? Type a few options of maybe for you, who's been a great referral source, or who do you think could be a great referral source? A profession, what type of a person could be a great referral source for a realtor, or who have you gotten referrals from? Type away. You guys are past clients, absolutely. Those are people that you want to treat special because those are great sources. Previous buyers and sellers, okay, we're all on the same page here. Who else? How about some different types of professions? You know, as you're looking through your database, people work in different industries that may be able to refer you and have that opportunity. Attorneys, yeah, oh my gosh, all kinds of attorneys, right? People in adjacent industries, mold inspectors, home inspectors, contractors. CPA, absolutely. Family law attorneys, those are, for me, that's been a great one. Probate attorneys, there's a lot of them out there. Trust and estate attorneys, business managers. Business manager was the way I got started. I have my first probably 4 or 5 deals was from one business manager that I met out. CPAs and wealth managers. Wealth managers, man, if you want to get into the really high price point homes, focus on wealth managers, wealth managers, wealth managers. They have so much control of who gets chosen to list or to help their clients purchase a property. Wealth managers will be great. Family law is also great because hey, if somebody gets a divorce and they have a high net worth property, then that's a great way to get into the higher end as well. So these are great people to focus on. So it takes time, right, to build these relationships, and it's up to you at this point. It's like either you do or do not. There is no try, like Yoda says. And it's up to you. You know, we went over the numbers, we went over the possibility of how this is possible. Hopefully you've been able to buy into this concept, into this system. This is all I talk about. Every single meeting that I have at my office, I remind people of this. And I promise you, it's the #1 way that I've been able to build my business. But you got to stay focused. Don't give up too soon. I mean, there's 2 great books that really talk about it: The Compound Effect and Tipping Point. Tipping Point's a little harder to read. Compound Effect's super quick and simple, but it really reminded me of slow and steady wins the race. In this business, you know, like Johnny asked earlier, you might not see these results the first year and you might want to give up, but it just takes that focus and persistence because things are building and brewing in the background. It will happen. Build up that database to 300 as soon as you can, of 300 people that you want to stay in touch with, and amazing things are going to happen. Another piece of advice: get an accountability partner or coach. It has been a lifesaver for me when I have a coach. I get probably 3 times as much done as when I don't. So just for me, being able to be aware every single week of what I'm doing and what I want to do is everything for me. This business has the opportunity to change your life. Like we said at the beginning, it's here right now. You know, take advantage of it while we have it. Things are changing. There's a lot of new rules that are going to come out for buyer's agents. There could be some major changes that happen that make this business a little bit more tough coming up. You know, we don't know exactly what's happening yet, but right now we have that opportunity to represent a buyer, to represent a seller, and to build such a powerful business. Like Marty said at the beginning, the amount of applications he's getting is starting to go up a little bit. That's a great sign. It's showing confidence. A lot of articles that I've been reading were showing, you know, that basically real estate is one of the only investments over the last year that has been consistent and has been growing, rather than the stock market and lots of other things. So there's a lot of hope and a lot of good stuff that happens within our market. And if we do hit a recession, it's not doom and gloom. you know, during that time we have a possibility that interest rates will go down. And if that does, that brings in a whole new realm of buyers and it keeps our market moving. So that's absolutely something that can be happening sometime very, very soon. You know, it's been a joy coming to teach with you. Again, I have a couple classes coming up. One is business planning in November and also a seller class. I haven't got a date for that yet, but I'll be scheduling that with GLAR on the best way to get seller leads in the market that we're in right now. If you enjoyed today's class, please let Marty know. He's our CEO at GLAR. Marty at glarealtors.com. Send him a quick email and just say, hey, you know, thank you for the class. Anthony did a great job. They always like to know which classes are, you know, are good and which ones we should bring back. And I always want to have the opportunity to work with you. Stay in touch with me. Follow me on Instagram. My personal one for, you know, for fun is Italian Croatian. You're welcome to follow me there. And our office is the Collective Realty. We're always doing different events and education and all kinds of fun stuff. So again, you know, it's been a pleasure being here with all of you. This is recorded, so it'll be on YouTube. You can search the Collective Realty on YouTube and it'll be there. We have lots of other realtor education that's posted there too that you're welcome to take a look at any time. And feel free, stop by my office anytime, come to a team meeting, say hello. And maybe I'll see you at the fair we have coming up, the Fall Carnival and Real Estate Fair.
And one thing I wanted to add, Anthony, is that if anybody on the team over here on the call would like to do any team kind of team up together and do any kind of like a first-time homebuyer education and or credit education or any program education, and you guys don't have that confidence of doing it on your own, I'm happy to partner up with you. Nunez on the call with me as well. We're more than happy to, you know, provide any support that you need. Yeah, Marty is, if you want to do a homebuyer seminar, he's an amazing person for that. Zoe, do you have any information? I just saw you on. Zoe's with WFG Title, and they always have a pulse on the market, and she's an amazing resource to help you, you know, with your business as well. Hi, Zoe.
Hi. Good information as always. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. What you said was absolutely accurate, and it's what we try to teach in terms of farming, and really and truly the main main key is consistency. Consistency. If you don't do it, you're not going to get there. And I agree with you, developing personal relationships for sure, because it's the biggest purchase or sale that someone is going to make. They have to know you and trust you. So, absolutely. And to be patient. I've worked with Zoe for 20 years. Yep. And I remember I started my farming efforts with Zoe many years ago. That's right. And she has been so helpful. And regardless of what company she's at, she's been an amazing resource through the years. And yeah, farming, it has paid off for me. And it's a roller coaster with farming. That's right. You know, sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't so much. This year has been a lot slower. Like, I'm not sure if it's paid off for me this year or not, but I haven't stopped. I'm continuing to do it because we don't know when that's going to change. And you don't want to be behind the ball when things start to change. So it's really an effort and a testament of how consistent you can be, because that's consistency is everything in this business. It's not easy, it's not fun, but it is what it is. And in terms of farming right now, you can target people who've owned their homes for a long time who may be wanting to move down or move away. You can target divorce, you can target probates. You know, there are ways to do it. We have a program called Fetch. If you're interested in having me sign you up for it, you can. I put in my cell phone number in by my name. You can text me and I can sign you up for that account, and you can focus within your farm on people who might be more apt to sell. So along with all of your other stuff, you can do a smaller targeted farm that talks about what's going on. And Anthony knows I'm always reading and sending articles with information and scripts and different things to help grow your business. Thanks, absolutely. Anthony. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Does anyone else have anything else to add before we sign off today? Good to see you, Mr. Zachary, always.
All right, everyone, have a great day. I'm gonna leave the chat open for a few minutes in case there's anything you want to copy, and I'll be sending the notes to everyone. So look out for that probably later today.
Thank you.
Have a good day.